The first time you even hear about the 2026 Honda CM250, it feels unreal, like Honda secretly dropped a bomb and walked away without explaining anything. This bike doesn't enter the scene politely. It sneaks in and completely rewrites expectations, leaving riders confused, excited, and slightly disturbed by how good it feels, on paper and in imagination. What's truly shocking is how Honda made a 250 feel this serious. This isn't a beginner toy pretending to be important. This is a calculated machine that feels like it was built with grown riders in mind, people who understand restraint, precision, and the emotional weight of a well-engineered motorcycle. The presence of this bike is unsettling in the best way. It doesn't scream power, yet it radiates authority. It's the kind of motorcycle that makes louder, bigger bikes feel insecure just by existing, because confidence like this cannot be faked. The engine philosophy feels almost rebellious. Instead of chasing insane numbers, Honda focused on feel control and connection. The result is shocking. An engine that feels alive, responsive, and emotionally engaging, without trying to scare the rider or beg for attention. There's something dangerously addictive about how smooth everything feels. The throttle response is so natural that it almost feels illegal, like the bike is reading your thoughts and translating them directly into motion. This level of refinement in a CM250 feels almost unfair to competitors. What really hits hard is how solid the bike feels. Nothing rattles in your imagination. Nothing feels rushed or cheap. It feels overbuilt, like Honda intentionally gave it more strength than it actually needs. Just to prove a point, the riding position doesn't just feel comfortable. It feels intentional. It locks you in without trapping you, offering control without aggression. This is the kind of ergonomics that make long rides feel short, and short rides feel unforgettable. The shocking part is how mature this motorcycle feels. It doesn't behave like a 250 at all. It feels calm, confident, and emotionally grounded, like it's been refined through decades of experience. Rather than rush to market, this bike doesn't push you to ride fast. It dares you to ride better, rewards smooth inputs, clean lines, and focused control. That kind of behavior is rare and deeply satisfying, especially for riders who value skill over chaos. There's an almost haunting calmness to how the CM250 carries speed. It never feels unstable, never feels nervous. Even in your imagination, it feels planted, composed, and shockingly trustworthy. What truly stuns is how this motorcycle feels timeless. It doesn't feel locked into 2026. It feels like something that would still make sense 10 or 15 years from now. That's a level of design confidence very few manufacturers dare to attempt. Honda clearly didn't design this bike to impress social media. They designed it to impress riders. And that decision alone makes the CM250 feel like a silent middle finger to modern excess. The sound of the bike feels honest and mechanical, not artificial or overprocessed. It doesn't try to sound bigger than it is, and that honesty makes it hit harder emotionally than fake aggression ever could. This is the kind of motorcycle that slowly gets inside your head. The more you think about it, the more dangerous it becomes, because it promises something rare: consistency, reliability, and emotional satisfaction in every single ride. What's shocking is how this bike seems to understand human psychology. It doesn't overwhelm you on day one, but it slowly builds an addiction that makes you want to ride more, longer, and deeper. The CM250 feels like a quiet revolution. No explosions, no noise, just a perfectly executed idea that exposes how unnecessary excess has become in the motorcycle world. Honda didn't just build a bike here, they made a statement. A statement that says riding pleasure doesn't need extreme horsepower, massive screens, or artificial drama. The existence of the 2026 Honda CM250 feels like a deliberate provocation. It's as if Honda looked at the chaos of the modern motorcycle world and decided to respond with something terrifyingly calm, something so composed that it unsettles you more than raw aggression ever could. This bike doesn't announce itself with drama, yet the impact is immediate. It enters your mind slowly, then refuses to leave. The CM250 feels less like a product and more like a carefully measured decision that challenges everything riders think they want. What's shocking is how emotionally heavy this motorcycle feels. It carries weight not in horsepower, But in intention, every imagined mile feels meaningful, as if this machine demands respect rather than excitement alone. The design philosophy behind it feels ruthless. Nothing is wasted, nothing feels decorative. It's pure function shaped into something disturbingly attractive, proving that restraint can be far more powerful than excess. The engine character feels disciplined, almost philosophical. It doesn't explode with anger. It flows with purpose that's smooth. Controlled delivery feels more dangerous than unpredictability, because it builds confidence fast, and confidence changes how riders behave. There's a strange authority in how this bike seems to sit still. Even at rest, it feels ready, grounded, and alert, like a machine that doesn't need motion to prove its capability. What truly shakes expectations is how premium everything feels. In concept, the CM250 doesn't behave like an entry-level machine. It feels elevated, refined, and unapologetically serious, as if Honda ignored the category limits entirely. This motorcycle doesn't chase adrenaline, it engineers satisfaction. The more you imagine riding it, the clearer it becomes that this bike is designed for people who understand subtlety, not spectacle. The riding experience it promises feels deeply personal. It doesn't overpower the rider, it synchronizes with them. That kind of harmony is rare and unsettling, because it exposes how disconnected many modern bikes have become. There's an eerie sense of control associated with this machine. It feels predictable in the best way, offering stability that makes the rider feel capable of more than they expected from themselves. What's shocking is how this bike seems built for reality, not fantasy real roads. Real traffic, real long rides, real fatigue, and it feels like it was engineered to thrive in those moments, rather than suffer through them. The CM250 feels like a quiet insult to overdesigned motorcycles. It proves that complexity isn't always progress, and that simplicity, when executed perfectly, can be devastatingly effective. There's an honesty in this bike that's rare. It doesn't pretend to be something else, doesn't exaggerate. It delivers exactly what it promises, and somehow, that makes it feel more powerful than machines that overpromise and underdeliver. This motorcycle feels mentally addictive. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense. And that realization hits harder than excitement, because logic combined with emotion is dangerous. What stuns most is how composed it feels under imagined pressure. No drama, no panic, just calm execution. It feels like a machine trained for discipline, not chaos. The CM250 doesn't ask for trust. It earns it instantly. That immediate sense of reliability creates a bond that many bikes fail to achieve. Even after years of ownership, this bike feels like it was designed by people who actually ride, not designers chasing trends, but engineers obsessed with feel, balance, and long-term satisfaction. There's something intimidating about how confident this motorcycle is. In its own identity, it doesn't compare itself to anything else, because it doesn't need to. The scariest part is how realistic it feels as a daily companion. This is a bike that could quietly become the most important part of someone's routine, without ever demanding attention. The 2026 Honda CM250 doesn't shock through noise or speed. It shocks by being brutally correct, by delivering exactly what riding is supposed to feel like. When everything unnecessary is stripped away, this motorcycle feels like discipline made metal calm.